Welcome back. And for the second year, Al-Azhar is taking place and participating in the Cairo International Book Fair. Al-Azhar aims at communicating with different sects of society and in order to prevail peace, fighting extremism, and many other aims. To talk more about the role of Azhar this year in the book fair, we are joined by Mr. Saeed Kishk, and he's a researcher and a translator at the Higher Committee of Al-Azhar, and Mr. Ahmed Al-Azabi, and he's Professor of Linguistics at the Al-Azhar University. And all welcome to our show.
Well, good afternoon.
First of all, would you talk to us about Al-Azhar's participation in this year's book fair? As Dina mentioned, there are so many things taking place in addition to publications, of course, especially the section of sector of translation, the translation department. We have conferences and seminars, and as Dina mentioned, you are raising the public awareness about Jerusalem as well. So first, Dr. Ahmed, would you like to start by telling us more about the activities and the schedules of it?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I would like, first of all, to introduce ACT, or Al-Azhar Center for Translation. Al-Azhar Center for Translation was established only 15 months ago, just more than 1 year ago. Since then, we had the mission of propagating the tolerance of Islam, telling the people what true Islam is. And by the way, this is the name of our series called True Islam Series. We have 13 languages now. We translate books basically from Arabic. Sometimes we translate from English into Arabic, most of the time from Arabic into English. We have a group of scholars, of Azhar scholars, who select specific books that serve our mission and our vision. These books are translated into 13 different languages. And I'm the one responsible for the revision of the books translated into English, from English into Arabic, and from Arabic into English. We have done 13 books so far. Within the talk, I'll give you a brief idea about each one of them. But the whole idea behind the translation is twofold. On the one hand, we are targeting the West. You know that English language is spoken in most of the countries of the world, basically in Western countries. We are addressing those people in order to show the tolerance of Islam, the real image of Islam. I believe that, some people might disagree with me, but I believe that the West in particular is a very important place that we are addressing, a very important culture that we are addressing. This culture, some people there tell lies and they believe them. And our mission is to correct the misconceptions about Islam. That's why we choose books that show the real image of Islam, the beauty of Islam, the tolerance, that Islam has nothing to do with terrorism, with fanaticism. And we can talk about this, and I have a sample of the books that have been translated into English.
Mr. Saeed, this is the second consecutive year that the Azhar is participating in the International Cairo Book Fair. What's different this year the Azhar is offering?
Well, in the name of Allah, the merciful and the gracious, all praise is due to Allah, and may God's peace and blessings upon the prophets and his companions, his family, and all past prophets and messengers, and upon all audience. Assalamualaikum alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. Thank you for inviting us, for coming, giving such a great opportunity. And Alhamdulillah alladhi ja'alana muslimin. Thanks to God that Allah had made us as Muslims and among the best nations that Allah has created for all people, and which has characterized in the Holy Quran as a moderate and just and middle ummah. كذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us as a middle and just and moderate ummah to be witness for all people. Last year, or Al-Azhar University and Al-Azhar as a whole, and all sectors of Al-Azhar is working last year and this year and participated in International Book Fair. Generally, the main objective of that is, as our professors told us, that to fix and reshape the disfigured image of Islam, and to shed the light of the tolerance of the Islamic religions, which is totally far in every respect of word from extremism and fanaticism that is had been advocated by a lot of terrorist groups and a lot of extremists just to attract the young peoples. Al-Azhar University has participated, and or Al-Azhar as a whole, I'm sorry, which when I'm talking about Al-Azhar, I'm talking about the whole sectors of Al-Azhar, which is including Al-Azhar Center translations, Al-Azhar observers, and academic research of Islamic. All of them are working at a one body to protect the Egyptian society from what's going on around from such effective campaign to recruit the young people to be to justify and to justify killing and threaten the innocent people. So last year we have a main branch of Al-Azhar in International Book Fair, but this year is a little bit wider than that. As our professor told us that ACT, or Al-Azhar Center for Translations, just about 15 months ago. That's why last year we did not participate as this year. I mean, this year we are participating in about 30 languages. We are participating in a range of a lot of talks. What's happening in the current critical periods makes Al-Azhar under the supervisions of the Grand Imam to focus on spreading the message of Islam, which is a moderate message of Islam, which has been adopted by Al-Azhar University for a long time ago, and under the supervisions of professors, His Eminence Dr. Ahmed Ataib. So last year we participated in International Book Fair, and this year we are participating, but a little bit more wider, with more talks, with more institutes. Recently, and since the Grand Imam and the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar, Professor Ahmed Taib, since he came in power, he noticed that we have to try to what's it called, refute the misconceptions which is around Islam all over the world, that we have to improve the communications between the East and the West, that we have to make something to target the Western and non-Muslims readers. That's why year after year we are improving the communications between Al-Azhar and the public. A lot of initiatives has been launched by Islamic researchers and by Al-Azhar Center translations. For examples, I mean, one of the latest activities that Al-Azhar as a whole, one of its sectors like Islamic Researchers Academy, even they try to improve the communications between the public and Al-Azhar University and make something, they call it cafe breaches. Imagine that after seeking permissions of the owner of the cafe, they are starting chatting with people and talking about seriously dealing with the daily life of each one. And Al-Azhar Center Translation has participated, for example, last year, but not exactly with a great number of Bach. So recently, Al-Azhar University, sorry, I'm talking about Al-Azhar sectors, which is Al-Azhar University, Al-Azhar Sheikhdom, Al-Azhar Observer, all of them, they are working at the one party, as I said, generally speaking, to protect the Egyptian society, the young people, from such, what so-called extremist groups, or who try to wage and launch effective campaign to attract and to recruit the young people to be one of their battlefields. So generally, we participated last year, but this year we are participating more and wider. And next year, inshallah, under the supervisions of the Grand Imam Professor Ahmed Taib, we're gonna participate in a wider range, inshallah.
One of the main things on the agenda of Al-Azhar this year as part of the Cairo International Book Fair is raising the public awareness about both the Jerusalem and the Rohingya crises. So how are you tackling these issues here at the book fair, dealing with the public concerning these two topics?
If I heard the question well, you're asking about specific books that were published recently by Al-Azhar
Which is
Center
the
of
doctor talks
Translation.
about supporting Jerusalem.
Jerusalem
Okay,
and
yeah.
Rohingya. I understand that you're also calling for that as part of the book fair activities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have, and even Doctor, we have participated with a conference.
Yes.
A conference that's under the perfect supervisions of the Grand Imam last month. We have made a conference, international conference in support for Jerusalem just about a month ago,
Yes.
which held in Al-Azhar Center conference. And here, even in an international book fair, Doctor, there is a pot for Jerusalem itself, which is it's open questions that everyone can ask about Jerusalem just to revive the case inside the heart of the young people and the people who came to visit international book fair. So if your questions about supporting Jerusalem,
yes,
as for the relationship between participations in international book fair
Yes.
and supporting Jerusalem.
Yes.
We support Jerusalem not only in international book fair, but under the supervisions of Grand Imam. We make about a month ago an international
Yes,
conference about in supporting of Jerusalem, and Dr. Ahmed was the interpreter of the conference itself.
Doctor, you've mentioned that there is a book about Jerusalem, so would you like to tell us more about that publication that you've just mentioned? You were talking about publications about Jerusalem and about the publications here at the book fair, so would you brief us about the publications, please?
Sure. We started with 3 books last year, which were achieved before the exhibited in the book fair last year. The 3 books were Muslim Perspective of Human Values, which is translation of Al-Qiyam al-Islam by Mahmoud Hamdi Zakzouk, the ex-minister of Waqf of endowments. Another book was Muslim Conception of War, which is translation of...
Would you show us the books as well,
Yeah.
please?
This is Muslim Perspective of Human Values by Professor Mahmoud Hamdi Zakzouk. And it's an interesting book because it shows the civilizational aspect of Islam. It shows that Islam has this beautiful aspect, which is prayer even to the
Yes.
Western culture. And another book which is really important is a Muslim Conception of War, which is translation of Nazariyat al-Harb fil Islam by Imam Muhammad Abu Zahra. It shows that Islam is not a religion of war, but when we have to fight, we do fight, but we still have values, and these values are observed during the war, and the prisoners of wars are treated well, and that Muslims never breach their treaties with their enemies, even with their enemies. A very important book, one of the our early publications, is by Al-Imam Al-Akbar Grand Imam Sheikh Ahmed Taib, which is called Essential Features of Islam, and it's a translation of his book Muqawimat al-Islam. It has 2 sections, one about the values, the worships, and one about the dealings, the everyday dealings. And actually, it's an interesting book because it shows to non-Muslims what is real Islam is. And I want to say something that I put in my foreword to these 3 books, which are the early wave of our publications. Imam Akbar said, the Grand Imam said once, that in these books we are not trying to convert people into Islam, but we are trying to show them the real image of Islam, the tolerance of Islam. And I think this is new. This approach is new to Al-Azhar. The Grand Imam, Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayyib, says something that I never heard at Al-Azhar before. It doesn't say anymore, Al-Azhar doesn't say anymore that our main purpose is to convert other people into Islam. But it says we accept everyone as he is or as she is. But our objective is that we live in peace together, and that this is real Islam. It's not the image that has been depicted in the West and that has been propagated, which is a false image. Now, that was the early wave of our publications that was exhibited in last year's book fair. This year we have 8 more titles. We had a full year. We achieved these 3 books in 3 months, from October to December 2016, and in the book fair, January 2017 or February 2017, we exhibited these 3 books. This year we have 8 more titles, ranging between speeches by Grand Imam in different occasions. It's very important because it shows his attitude, which is actually the attitude of Islam itself towards the others, the different others, and his tolerance and his taking care of the Christians in Egypt, and his special concern about interfaith dialogue, inviting the Pope to conferences at Al-Azhar, held by Al-Azhar, and inviting clergymen from the church, talking to them and showing them the real intention of Al-Azhar now.
It seems we have many books, and we have many topics to talk about concerning the Azhar and its role, especially this year in the Cairo International Book Fair. Mr. Ahmed Al-Azabi, Professor of Linguistics at Al-Azhar University, thank you very much for joining us. And Mr. Saeed Kishk, a researcher and translator at Al-Azhar University. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us, Saeed, and for giving us such a great opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professors. And actually, Al-Azhar booth is one, and the sections is one of the most interesting sections for those who are interested to know more about Islam and Egypt's approach, and of course Al-Azhar's approach to it. And we invite all the visitors to look at the Al-Azhar booth here at the Cairo International Book Fair. But now let's enjoy together the coming song. It's called Ala Hizb al-Nil, and it's related to the unity of the African continent, how the Nile River joins us together all in love and harmony, and it's sang by Shando.